Oh, hey guys, let me come over there. This video is just a bit of a filler, but I thought a few of you that have been following my channel for quite some time, and hopefully there's just a few more than a few, may be wondering what I'm up to in my workshop. Well, I often film projects on this table here. I often film in my little room over there, and sometimes you see various background shots. I thought this video might be just interesting, and it holds me accountable a bit. I want to see some improvement, so I'm going to document how it looks now. There's various reasons or excuses why it's so bad, and I will relay those throughout the video. Whether you believe them or not's another thing. I also must admit I do take solace in watching Ian Matthews and Everyday Solars in the UK, because watching their workshops makes me feel a lot better about mine. Even E-Waste Ben at times, his garage can get very cluttered. Well, mine's extremely cluttered. I'll take you back out to the front door and we'll have a walk through and let's have a bit of a chat about what's happening. I'll point out a few projects that are coming up. Feel free to give me some input on if you spot something you'd like to see me do. I'm trying to make decisions on things, so let's go for a little bit of a shed tour. Okay, here's the entrance. Now this is actually a shed extension, this little bit. The main shed is kind of back in there, and this was an emergency structure. For those of you that haven't been following my channel won't know, I had a shop in town that I had to vacate after 20 years of not hoarding, stashing stuff aside as an investment. Now I'm a second-hand dealer. I clean out people's sheds, I clean out deceased estates, and I've done a lot of eBay in the past. And the shop, I've sold a lot of stuff through the shop, don't get me wrong. It's not like I keep everything. We turn over heaps of things. And now I'm still in business with Christine next door to my old shop. But I don't have the storage facilities, so this extension was built in a hurry, in fact in about 3 days, and it's full to the roof as you can see, and it goes back about 30 feet. So there's no aisles to get down, it is just packed to the rafters, literally. So I do need to get into all this. At the moment I just walk past it every day to get into the main shed through here, and I'm going to have to really start making some headway here or I'm never going to get anywhere. I suspect there's a possum moved back in. I used to have a possum that I got rid of. I think one's living back in there somewhere, which isn't ideal. And we do get rats here sometimes, so I don't want a lot of this stuff to get damaged. However, you know, you can only do so much. So we've got to get into that soon. Let's go into the main shed. So I've been a dealer for a long time. I also have been a collector of stuff, and I like vintage hi-fi gear, vintage electronics. I like old mechanical stuff, and a lot of it gets brought home. Now it's with the best intentions. I don't want to hoard it all. I actually want to fix it and then resell it, or fix it and use it. Let's get back to the shed tour. These cupboards were original to our house when we bought our house. It was 1969 built, and the house was in a deplorable condition. In fact, that's as good as those cupboards have ever looked. So we put a whole new kitchen in and they became shed cupboards. And this is Christine's gardening area, although she may suggest that it's not really accessible at the moment, and there might be an element of truth in that. But we do have a few garden tools and things sprinkled around here. And these cupboards, affectionately known as, oh, and even a quality squeak there, these are affectionately called the cupboards of death, because that's where we keep the chemicals we don't want the grandkids or the dogs to get. You may have noticed just on this shelf here a nice old sword. It's a replica Polish sword. I picked it up in a shed clean out years ago, but I can't put this stuff in the shop. It's actually illegal to sell this sort of stuff in the shop. Same with these. I think I might be able to get away with selling these machetes. That's a World War II machete. But I need to find a sword collector, because I'd like them to go to a collection. And the frustrating thing is I can't sell this in the shop, which is as blunt as you'd hardly hurt anyone with it. And yet I'm allowed to sell golf clubs that you could belt someone to death with. I can sell large kitchen knives. But, you know, them's the intricacies of our laws. I have to obey. I don't want to lose my second-hand dealer's license. So they're not really stored here. I had them out to show someone recently, and he did actually buy one. He's a licensed weapons collector. I have a lot of vintage test equipment here that came from a shed clean out we did ages ago, and I actually did a series on that, on the huge big radio room shed clean out, I think it was called, something like that. Some really nice stuff. Great old oscilloscope there. I'd love to get going. Some of this equipment was homemade, but I'll put a card up for the playlist for that series. I've still got boxes next door in that other shed to go through, so I'm by no means finished. Some of the stuff I might keep when I get it going. I have vintage stuff here I wanted to frame, old posters, old newspapers. There's just stuff everywhere. There's a couple of really nice, if I step back a bit, there's a couple of really nice old church pew ends. Now these are local to the town here, and I'd love to restore those and make them into a nice veranda seat for our front veranda, or just sell them for that purpose. Also a couple of stock whips, or a stock whip and a bull whip, which I used to be able to swing and crack quite well before my shoulder reconstruction. I must have a go again soon. Building materials, various other stuff. That jacket or coat is a World War II RAF Air Force jacket. I need to clean up and get into the shop. I can't access a lot of my tools. It's very frustrating. This shed never really got set up properly in the first place. It kind of partially got set up, and then we had to move a heap of stuff quickly, and then the shop got sold and I had to move out of there. So I did rebuild all this bench, but it's just become cluttered, as you can see. Over in the corner there, that red thing is a sandblasting cabinet that I bought, and I've only used once, and I've got a video half finished on cleaning something up. I can't even get to it now because all these boxes just came from the shop, and I had people helping me move, and we had such a limited time and such a lot of stuff to move. Way back in the corner is a new air compressor that I did a review on. I've used it a few times, but I can't even get to it now. I've got a lot of stuff that I want to make lamps out of. I've started a restoration project on a little bike there a number of months back. I must finish that. So it's very cluttered. It's full of half-finished projects. I'm actually going to restore that retro cooling fan. I did a couple of parts on restoring a Malvern Star bicycle, and the wheels are finished. The frame's nearly right. A few more things to do on that, and that was, I think the 2 parts are up on YouTube, but they were probably over 12 months ago. I need to get that finished and sell it, get it out of here. What else? Let's pan around back here to where we came in. I do use my anvil a lot. That's something I can get to and I use. It's really handy. I need to set up these buffing wheels on these bench grinder. It just got parked there, and I need to bolt the thing onto that pedestal. But it would be handy if that was operational. Need to get rid of some of this timber out of the road. On the bench at the moment is a CRT computer monitor from, I think, 1999 or 2000. It works beautifully, as you can tell, although through the camera we're getting some weird screen effects, but it's working well. I'm going to start setting up vintage computer gear so I can test all the peripheral devices and sell them in the shop. It's becoming more and more valuable. That computer monitor I'm going to put $150 on in the shop. All the used scrappers would have pulled a lot of them apart. Well, now they're starting to bring pretty good money if they work. Also, old slot cards, I'm bringing all these home because I want to set up to test them. And if you can test them, they are bringing pretty good money on eBay depending on what they are. So, you know, I might get $1.50 for that for scrap. I might get $150 for that on eBay as a going sound card. So it's worth doing, and vintage computer stuff I think is only going to get more valuable. I just unboxed some stuff this morning, and there's a little 1970s 8mm projector there that I'd like to see if I can get going. Might be another video project. I will be trying to film everything. There's another monitor there that I have tested and it works fine, so that'll be another one to go into the shop. I've still got some Makita stuff here that I haven't even unboxed. I was going to do unboxing videos and reviews on each of those Makita items. I did a video on those a while back. I will get back to those fairly shortly. This side is just a jumble. It's really annoying that it happened. You know, stuff just had to be put somewhere and couldn't leave it in the weather. So I need to get back to that. This Triton workbench is a router stand, and the other benches around here. I've used that a little bit, but obviously I can't use it at the moment. So once I get my extra shed sorted, and have a bit of room, we might do a bit of woodwork. I have some projects to do with that too. I'll have to, of course, clear off this heater before the colder weather sets in, because I do use this heater. And now that the weather, well, it's still pretty hot here, but once it cools off a bit, I plan on spending a lot more time out here. Now, here's my little repair room, which I do love. It's like my home away from home. It's my doghouse, if you like. And it's totally chockers with stuff. And they're all projects to do. I have a lot of clocks to fix up the top there. Hang on, I'll turn this radio down. There's a bit of music going. So I do test stuff through that amplifier, which is really handy. And I did a video on making this little test access point there. I'm on my laptop out here most evenings. Here's a vintage computer I picked up recently that I actually put in the shop. I priced it, tested it, all works. I had 150 on the IBM monitor. I was looking for 75 for the tower, but I took the hard drive out and the original keyboard. But I decided not to sell it. I'm going to set that one up, and the reason being, it's got a CD-ROM, it's got a floppy drive, and it also takes USB. So it's the right era to cross over all those technologies. It should be really handy for testing stuff. So I'm going to set that up in here, and then I can plug those other monitors perhaps into this PC and see if they work, just to make sure they're okay, and then test them. So that's the plan. Now, there's not enough room where it is now. It's a bit cluttered there, but around this side, which I've been putting off doing, I need to clean this bench right off. It's just had things dumped on top of it. My soldering station there and my power supply I might put over the other corner, because I need the height over the workbench there to put the computers there. On the floor, there's a lot more stuff. I have my valves. I've got a big collection of radio valves stashed underneath on each side. There's more clocks. There's the boom boxes, cassette tapes, and a nice old turntable there. Lots more things that I just pick up in deals all the time and bring home and think that'll be a great project. I'll get that going. There's my recent pickup, which is a Commodore Amiga 2000. Thanks for all your comments on that video. And I do have to get in there and pull the motherboard out and clean it out. Quite a number of you suggested that it should be cleaned, because the corrosion from the battery will keep doing damage. So I'm going to do that shortly. Also, a lot of comments on a recent video I did on computer parts with regards to hard drives. And I'm going to start reformatting them, especially the ones that are large enough to sell, and then I can sell them through the shop. The older ones might be interesting to reformat too, if I have old computer systems to sell. So that was great. A few people suggested there's some good programs for reformatting so that the data is safe. There's some more clocks to repair there. And a great big grandfather clock here. This one probably dates to the 1850s that I'd like to get going at some stage. What else have we got hidden in here? There's more test equipment. There's just parts and stuff everywhere. It's a bit of a shamble. A few people come into the shop occasionally and point out things they see in the background. What do we got up the top there? There's a Denon tape deck. I think that's a pretty good quality one. There's a Yamaha cassette deck, a few clock radios, various other unusual pieces. I've got a box full of old car radios as well, the turntable. So lots of stuff. I don't think I'm going to be short of a project. There's even some old metal detectors. The problem is that I've got so much here, and every single day I go to work, I either get someone drop something in for e-waste that will be a great project, or I get a lead on a house lot, and then I bring home a heap of stuff. Even the great farm cleanup series now that some of you might be enjoying, I'm bringing home stuff from the farm and thinking that would be good to do a quick project on. This was left out the front of the shop the other day. It's a 5-disc CD player. I might as well do a video on that. It might work perfectly. It might be not worth fixing, but I'll start a video, and if it's going to be interesting, I'll show you. I have chainsaws scattered all around the place. Lawnmower engines shoved under. I think there's one under the bench there. And that was my trade. I'd like to get in and do more small engine stuff for you. There's a 2-stroke blower there. A heap of old keyboards I just brought in today. And before we wind this video up, I might duck up to the carport where I have a bit more stuff stashed. and show you a few other things I've got in mind to do. Another little chainsaw down the bottom there. I was looking forward to doing that. I must dig it out. Okay, let's walk up onto the deck and we'll go into the carport. Oh, we've got a man down. The dogs play through here and run all over the garden. Another man down. Oh, that's a lady down. Here's the gate that I made a while back. That's worked really well to keep the dogs under control. The deck's a bit messy at the moment. They've been playing as they do. Caesar's lying there in the shade, finding it a bit hot today. Alright, let's duck into the carport. This bench I've got to fix up one day too. It's going to be a nice bench for on our deck. And there's stuff here I brought back from the farm that has to go to the shop. There's more timber because I've run out of room in the shed. This old cupboard I'm just going to salvage the timber from. Nice wide planks, and it's about inch thick old pine. Some of you may remember these old hall seats that I rescued from the farm, so I do want to make them up into gangs. One of them probably for our deck, maybe a couple. And I think Ben, my middle daughter's partner, wanted one for their place, so we'll do that. There's bits of scrap metal and stuff that's come out of the van I just had to dump somewhere quickly. Oh, I picked this up out of a shed just recently. I think that's about 2,000. It's an Apple iMac. Not sure what they're worth. I haven't done any research on that. There's an old Seagull outboard motor, more car radios, nice old enamel workshop lights. There's a wood lathe in there. Some of this stuff was just moved from the shop very quickly again. I don't even know what's in some of these boxes. So more bits and pieces. And there's an engraving machine here that I believe these are worth a lot of money. I might even try and see if I can get it going. It's been well weathered, but it might be restorable. All sorts of other things in these boxes. It's really a lucky dip. Oh, there's a magneto of an old engine, and I've got the engine. I'd love to restore that one day too. So a bit of everything. The motorbike's not mine, that belongs to Luke. It's Christine's son, who's living with us at the moment, and some of this other stuff is his too, so I won't lay claim to ownership of all this stuff, but just 90% of it. Oh, how cool was this? Came from a shed I cleaned out the other day. It's a little jigsaw. I think I call it a coping saw. What do they call it? It's not a bandsaw. It's a fret saw. I knew it had come to me eventually. So that's a little gearbox that oscillates up and down, and it just runs off a shaft drive here. This one obviously had a belt drive from a little motor. I think it still turns. There you go. So I reckon that'll be pretty cool to restore. It's been in the weather a long time. It's only on a chipboard base, which is obviously stuffed. There we go. Looks really 1950s, that one. I think that'd be a good little project, and it would be handy in the shed as well. And behind that I have a 1970s engine analyzer, which I'd love to try and clean up and get into the shop or do something with. I think it's all there. I'll have to nut out how to use it, but something else to do in my spare time. Christine heard me say I was going to have spare time, and she said, "No, you don't," or "Do you get spare time?" Anyway, we're back in the shed. I've made some progress in my little room. Come and have a look what I've been doing. So I have moved some of the stuff from my bench, and I've made room to set up a vintage IBM computer here, a year 2000 one. And this one's going to be my workhorse, hopefully, for testing lots of stuff. I just plugged a random hard drive in, and I'm learning very rapidly a lot of computing stuff that I didn't know. For example, this earlier hard drive that I thought was out of this machine is, what do they call that connector? A SCSI? S-C-S-I? How we're not getting a focus there. There we go. It's a 50-pin connection, which doesn't suit this computer. So this is an IDE, which is about a 40-pin, or a 40-pin, I think. And then they went to SATA. So look, I'm learning. I was never much of a computer nerd. I did have an early computer a bit like this. In fact, I had a 386 originally for my business, but I didn't know much about it. So I'm going to enjoy the journey of learning about computer stuff and how to test it. Seeing so, I've been quite fortunate in getting a lot of vintage computer stuff, and I'd like to be able to maximize my income and I always like learning new stuff. So there's a box of hard drives that I've had at the shop. I've got a couple of milk crates full of them, and there are some more modern ones that I will try and reformat, and I might need a more modern PC to do that, but I don't mind setting up a few in here as tools of the trade, and I'm enjoying learning about them. Now, a couple of other things in here. You may have noticed on the floor this toaster. It's a Sunbeam electric toaster from the 1960s. I found that at the farm. I did a quick search on eBay, and they're bringing $200 and $300. Believe it or not, most people just throw it in the bin. I don't know if that works or not, but I think I might try and fix that one up. 1960s era. I probably ate toast out of that as a kid. The other thing I found here, you might have noticed earlier, is this light, and I've hooked it up to my power supply. Check this out. Woohoo! I think it's off an old fire truck, or it might have been a police one, but it's on my power supply. I've set this up over here, much happier with this here. It's drawing nearly 4 amps, so it takes a bit to drive. Certainly not an LED light, and it has a little motor, obviously, it spins it round. I thought I might mount that at the front of the shed for when I'm filming. You know, it's like saying on air, if the red light's flashing, don't interrupt. So anyway, I'm having a bit of fun today. I'll be back in here tomorrow, and hopefully I'll get these couple of other computer monitors tested and I can get them to the shop and sell them. So I've had a fun day in the shed. I always enjoy time out here. We only open the shop 4 days a week, so we normally do Fridays, Saturdays, Sunday and Monday. The Saturday and Sunday are the busiest days. Friday we're a bit flexible, and because Christine and I are both in the same shop, we can then duck out to pick up stuff or have doctor's appointments or whatever. Monday tends to be a bit of a bookwork day, but some people take RDOs, so there's often a lot of tourists still out on the Monday. But that does leave me 3 days at home each week, which I'm going to enjoy. Need to get more done on this shed, as I've shown you. I've got plenty of work ahead of me. And as the weather starts to cool off, it'll be great out here, because it's a bit hot out here when it's 40 degrees. There's no air conditioning. But over winter, I can have my fire going, so that's pretty cool. All right, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. I thought I'd just give you a catch-up on what's going on in my shed. I've got, I don't know which project I'm going to do next. Perhaps if you spotted something in this video, give me a kick up the bum and say, do that one, it's in your road. So, all right, I'll see what the comments are. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you in the next video. Bye for now.